it's Yolanda here. And this week, I have a question that I have been asked a few times this week, and I don't think it's a coincidence. So the question is, what can I do to improve my connection to my guides? This week, a few people have been wanting to increase their connection, strengthen their connection, have a clear, better connection to their guides so they can build up their relationship, get to know them better, know more about who they are, what their purpose is, how they support. But most importantly, so that they can have a day-to-day conversation with their guides and get some guidance and some clarity and be able to hear that and understand that and not question it or doubt it and have it be really clear. So I'm going to see what my team have to say on the subject. They've had some very individual things to say to people, and I know that what comes through today will be a bit more general, but I'm hoping that the guidance that comes through is still really supportive and helpful. Hello to you. Today, we wish to answer your question. What can you do to improve your connection to your guides? The first thing we would like to say on this topic is that your guides do not come with a standard procedure manual. Your guides do not fit a one-size-fits-all box. Your guides come in many different forms. They exist on many different dimensions. They communicate in many different ways. They show up in many different forms. And of course, the way they connect with you, the way they communicate with you, the way they talk to you is going to be just as unique and different from one guide to the next. Now, some of you may be, we could say, blessed to have a more coherent team. And what we mean by this is a spirit team that works together to communicate as one voice, to be the one that, to have a speaker, for example, one who stands out as being the one who does all the communication, or they may speak together as one voice. Some of you have this with your teams. And yet, even this can change as other guides pop in, as some leave, as they change and evolve. Because guides change and evolve, just as we change and evolve. As we grow, as we step into new periods of our lives, so too do guides come in to support this. As some guides specialize in certain areas more than others, and so specialists come in to support you during various periods of your life. Now, with this being said, some of your guides, many of your guides, connect differently from each other. And you may be thinking at this point, well, if they're always changing and they're always connecting in differently, that's so confusing. How am I supposed to know who's what and what's when and where's how and this and that and this and that and this and that? Why can't they just communicate to me in a very standard, structured form that I can understand? And we say this, it is not so black and white, because your guides, they are trying to speak to you in a way that is not like having a face-to-face conversation. They cannot just show up in form, hold the form, and say words to you and have you understand. There is a line, a barrier, and they can't really cross that line. Now, obviously, some of them can speak into your ear like a telephone. Some of them can show up in your living room all of a sudden, make an apparition. This can happen. This does happen. But this does not happen all the time. And therefore, we do not want you to demand this or expect this. Rather, instead, what we are encouraging you to do is be very open. To be very open to how your guides wish to speak to you. To ask, how do you want to connect to me today? How do you want to communicate? And be open for the subtle cues. Let your guides guide you how they wish to be received. Let your guides guide you. Look for the subtle cues, the senses, the feelings, the visions. Don't dismiss anything. Allow yourself to be an open book. And as you allow yourself to be an open book, your guides are then able to come through in the way that they come through best. And we wish to say it like this. If you are telling your guide, please speak to me clearly, put the words clearly in my head, you may be asking a guide who is unable to speak the most profoundly and clearly in that form to speak in that form. It is like asking someone who speaks basic Japanese but is really strong at speaking Russian to speak to you in full sentences in Japanese when they don't actually speak Japanese fluently. They may speak visions. They may speak another language, and this is how they communicate best. So we encourage you to allow your guides to communicate with you in the way that they communicate best. Let them do what they do best. When they do what they do best, you are more likely to receive their guidance from them in more profound ways than when you try to put them in a box and limit them based on what you want. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, we're going to get on with the actual question of how can I improve my relationship with my guides? And for this question, we wish to answer it in a few parts. We've touched on part 0.5, we could say, with simply being open to allowing your guide to connect to you in the way that they connect best. This will allow you to improve your relationship simply because they are coming to you, connecting to you based on their strengths and your capacity to receive. Because if you're not able to receive how they're communicating, they wouldn't be talking to you at all. They wouldn't even be working with you at all. Because if their strength is, say, sending you visions, and they are your guide, clearly you have the capacity to receive those visions. It is just about attuning your third eye, opening your third eye, working with your third eye so that you can better see those visions and have a better understanding of what they mean. And your guide, of course, will be helping you with this. But since we've covered that topic, we're now going to move on to the second part of this, which is allowing your guide to speak to you in their language. Now, for some guides, they may speak to you on the inside, and for some guides, they may speak to you on the outside. We'll give an example. Some guides may put words in your mind. They may send messages telepathically. They may send you visions. They may send you feelings. And on the opposite, some guides may send you symbols that you are to look for in your outside environment. For example, perhaps you may have an affinity with sunflowers, and your guide may have a connection with this affinity. And they may send you on a walk and guide you to go to the left, and you pass a sunflower. And as you pass the sunflower, it's like, oh, my guides are here. My guides are guiding me. They're guiding me down the right path. I'm exactly where I need to be because I just saw that sunflower. For many of you, it's a feather. Your guides leave you feathers, or they leave you other little objects that have meaning to you. So some guides speak externally, some guides speak internally. It is about acknowledging, are you an internal person or an external person? Are you the type of person that takes outside cues, that notices outside things, or are you the type of person that is more inward focused, that receives more inward cues, more feelings, more senses when you tune in on the inside? So it's good to know if you're an innie or an outie. And some of your guides will, if you're, say, an outie, will be communicating to you through the outside world. And this could be objects you find. This could be songs on the radio. This could be conversations you just happen to walk past that you happen to overhear. There are many outside cues, and they will speak to you in this way. We also wish to remind you that this can change. You can be an outie and become an innie, and you can be an innie and become an outie, or you could have both happening at the same time. So acknowledging this, you can then invite your guide to share more in that way, be more aware, pay more attention, and don't dismiss the little things that happen, but rather to perhaps write a journal, to keep a list of all of the times you passed a sunflower, or you found a flower, or you found a feather on the ground. It's one of those objects, or heard a song in your head. If you're one of these inner people, these innie people that hears a song in your head, what's the message that's in the song in your head? Because so often guides speak to us through the messages, the songs that are played in our heads. Sometimes they speak through songs we hear on the radio in a very precise moment. It is about recognizing, acknowledging, writing these things down if need be, and going and sitting with and asking them and yourself, what is the message? What are you trying to tell me? And be open to how the message comes. Don't try and force it through your hearing, or force it through a vision, or force it through a feeling. Allow it to come. We recommend you journal, connect to your guides, and ask them to write through you, to see what comes through when you journal. And that is going to lead us into our second part. Do journaling, automatic writing. Connect into your guides, call them in, ask them to channel through you, to help guide your pen, to clear your mind, get your mind out of the way, connect into your guides, and do some automatic writing. Ask some questions and see what answers come through. And just connect to your guides. What do you want to share with me today? What do you need to say today? And start creating regular communication with them. Even if you think you're making it all up, even if it just sounds like it's your own words, continue with it. Keep going with it. When you go back and reread, you will notice that if you were truly gotten yourself out of the way and allowed your guides to come through, you'll notice that it sounds a little bit different. It sounds like you, but then it's also a bit different. It just seems different. It feels different. So read the words and know that your guides have been speaking through you. And read what they have to say. Follow along with what they have to say. Learn to trust what comes through, even if it's not perfect. And this is another important bit. Learn to listen and trust it, even if it's not perfect. Because if you think the guidance is something and you're not sure and you follow it anyway, you're building up that trust, saying, okay, I'm not going to doubt you. I'm not going to shut you down. I'm going to give it a go. And if I didn't quite hear you correctly, then guides, you can course correct me. But I am going to listen. I am going to choose to listen. And how do you choose to listen? By listening, by taking action steps, by doing as you were told via your guidance without necessarily, you understand what we mean, because we don't necessarily tell you what to do. We encourage you. So go along with what you were encouraged to do. Say yes to that. Do it anyway, even if you're making it all up, even if it sounds fluffy and airy-fairy, even if it sounds like your own thoughts. Do it anyway. Our next point, in terms of developing your relationship, is to take some time to get to know them individually. And there's a little exercise you can do where you meditate, you clear your space, and then you ask one guide, just one, to step forward and connect in. And when your space is clear and empty, and you've asked that guide to step in and connect in with you, get a sense of what you are feeling, what you are experiencing. Are you feeling some tingling on your heart? Are you feeling some tingling on your head? Are you feeling like a cool breeze on your back or some hot air on your arm? Notice the subtle sensations, because guides, when they connect in and come closer, there is a subtle change in energy around you. You will feel some slight changes. You may feel some heat. You may feel some tingling. You may feel some cold. Notice those cues and connect in with that guide. Try and get a sense of what their name is, who they are. Are they male? Are they female? Are they a loved one? Are they a guide? And just get a sense of who they are. And then when you're finished and have that clarity, you can ask them to step back and ask the next one to step in. And once you've gotten to know those subtle cues, when you feel them again in the future, you can know which guide it was. So if you perhaps felt a tingling on your third eye, every time you feel that familiar tingling on your third eye, you can know that guide is trying to communicate with you. They're trying to connect with you. They're trying to be there of support. They're trying to make their presence known, that they're here, present, helping you, supporting you in your journey in this moment. And lastly, we wish to finish this channeling by saying that building a relationship with your guides is a choice. And it is a choice that you need to do all the time. What we mean by this is if you have made the decision you want to connect with your guides, you need to connect with your guides. You need to talk with them. You need to call them in. You need to have conversations with them. You need to share with them. You need to ask them questions. You need to acknowledge they're your guides. You need to acknowledge that they are present. You need to acknowledge that they are already helping you and supporting you. You need to acknowledge that they're trying to support you to open up to them so that you can have a better relationship with them. But in order to do that, you need to include them. You need to call them in. You need to connect to them. Even if it feels like you're connecting to thin air, you need to still connect to them. You still need to acknowledge their presence, because the more you do that, the more you will be building up your relationship to your guides, the more you will be strengthening your connection. Because if you do not acknowledge your guides, if you just expect them to just be there doing things without that connection, that day-to-day connection, it's going to start feeling a bit one-sided. It's going to start feeling like, well, we're supporting you and you're not reciprocating. Guides love it when they can be included, when the relationship is reciprocated, when you can send them love, because when you send them love, they'll send it back even stronger. So the more that you acknowledge their role in your life and include them in your life, call them into your life to be present, consciously present, the easier it will be to build up that connection, to have that stronger connection. And this will help you to grow, to learn, to develop, and to open up more to not just them, but your gifts, your purpose, what you're here to do. Because your guides are here to support you. This is their role, and they will continue to support you regardless if you're conscious of them or not. But the more conscious you are of them, the better they can work with you, the more directly they can work with you, the more strongly, the more of an impact they can have. Because when you begin to open up that clear communication, the more information can be passed through and shared, the more can happen. So we end this channeling with that last piece of advice. Include your guides in all that you do. And with this, we send you many, many blessings and all of our love. Thank you.